Welcome to the Board Game Academic Podcast, where we explore the crossroads of scholarship, play, and practice. I'm your host, Christopher Carbone, scholar, educator, and of course, lifelong gamer. Each week this semester, we will discuss with brilliant minds how analog games inform real-world practices, support meaningful change, and challenge us to think critically, whether in the classroom, clinics, communities, or beyond. This week, I'm joined by
Matthew Makak from Room 51.
Well, thank you, Matthew.
I am a mental health counselor by day and board gamer by all day, every day. It's a lot of fun, and I'm really glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
We're so glad to have you here. Obviously, there's so much to talk about. I'm really excited to get into it. But Matthew, before we get into it, one of the little things we like to talk about is, the most impossible question for any board game reviewer, do you have a favorite board game or game system?
I do, actually. I do have a favorite board game.
He's gonna do it.
I'm gonna do it. Out of all the hundreds and hundreds of games that I've played, my favorite board game of all time, right now at least, is Zaya Legends of a Drift System by Cody Miller.
Yes!
Yes. You say, oh no, you don't like that game?
I love that game, but there's a running thing with that game with Anthony. And there's a podcast on Board Gamers Anonymous, I'll have to send it to you, where Anthony just laments his experience of getting blown up over and over again.
That's okay. Part of the experience.
Yes. Just like life in general.
Just
right?
like life. Yeah, that's what I'm here for. So, no, I love the game. It's I do say that it has to come with the Embers of a Forsaken Star expansion.
Okay.
That's what really makes it for me.
Yes.
Otherwise, it would probably not be my favorite game of all time. But it really is. I love space. I love sandboxy games. So it's totally up my alley. My favorite mechanism in board gaming is deck building. Mm-hmm. Zaya does not have deck building in it, but usually, as far as games go, I love deck building. I just love creating my own thing, and that's probably what I like about Zaya. I love creating my own story and experience in that game. So even if I lose, I'm like, yeah, but look at all the cool stuff I did.
Yes. I think that's the thing about tabletop gaming that people outside don't really understand. Like, when they think Monopoly, they think win-lose condition. Mm-hmm. But the brilliance of tabletop gaming is, I did this thing. I created this thing, this tableau, this deck. It does a thing. Look at the thing it does. Did you win? Doesn't really matter. Look at the deck. Look at the tableau. I love a tableau.
Yes.
It just feels like I did something in the world.
I know. I was productive today.
It's true. I will 100% now need to get you on the podcast, absolutely, to talk to Anthony about Zaya and talk him down, because
I will.
I literally have a picture of this. I won that game, by the way, which might be one of the things that bothers him a little bit, because I take to those kind of things, but I did not blow up as much as he did on that. So that's fantastic. Thank you for that. So, Matthew, talk a little bit about your academic essay, your victory point essays, as we call them, on the Board Game Academic website. You wrote something for us. Can you tell people about it?
Yeah, I essentially spoke about introversion in gaming, and I am a huge introvert. I'm painfully shy as a person, and which is probably what got me into board gaming in the first place. And
same.
I'm sure a lot of us can attest to that. So, yeah, I think that it's really interesting that though we are introverted folks, or speaking for myself, that I'm an introverted person, I gravitated towards something that is so social, that is board gaming.
Yes.
And that is really what the essay is about, where you can really find yourself and your people. I know we were talking off podcast about finding your people, and you can really find yourself through board gaming and find your voice in it as well, which I find really special and powerful to do. So yeah, gaming has just been a huge part of my life for a long time, and as somebody who finds it difficult to speak to people, I have found that focusing on a game allows you to then talk to other people because you're not really focused on that. You're more focused on like what you're doing in the game. At least for me personally, and it allows me to just open myself up to others in a way that I hadn't before. Um, I also share a little bit in the essay about like my queer identity and how I'm sure that has contributed to my introversion
Sure.
because of just the society we live in and how we are pretty much told to shut up. So um, through board gaming, I became a content creator for Room 51, and that has also allowed me to just share my voice with others in a way that I didn't think would be possible.
Yes.
And finding a sense of community and finding other LGBTQ plus folks in the hobby as well as we go along. So yeah, that's sort of where my essay is. Uh, that's the direction it goes in. I do write a poem in there based on a board game that I really love called Merchants of the Dark Road. And that was a lot of fun to write. I do like poetry a lot, so I love being able to combine my love of board gaming with poetry and challenge myself to write a poem about a board game that's not really about the board game itself. But, so that was a lot of fun, and that's the essay I wrote.
That's fantastic. And I think that's a very essential lesson for so many of us out there, especially like you said, as an introvert. And I get the same comments, Matthew, about this, like, but you do a podcast, you do social media content, you do media. I'm like, yes, but no. Like, and again, I'm forgetting the name of the person with the quote here, but like, the only way is through, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
you do have to go through with it. And like you're saying, I found the same thing to be true is as an introvert, as somebody who is sometimes, situated as underrepresented or underserved, like tabletop games gives me the opportunity to interact and engage in a way that historically I haven't had the opportunity to do so, and to build a community that historically I have not been able to do so, and to offer a seat to other people that historically I have not been able to do so. So like tabletop gaming has really created such a powerful, wonderful opening by being what it is, which is again being an instrument or a place or a time or a universe or a magic circle of experience and of differentness that I can engage with safely. And I can bleed into those characters, into those roles, into those people, and experience something that or society, I should probably say better, society doesn't typically allow me to do so. So I think that's such a powerful message for so many people out there who want to be able to connect and to fully live them as themselves, but society has not had tools for that or places for that. Tabletop gaming is a kind of a place for that.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think that we live in a very we live by very rigid rules, and so tabletop gaming is all about imagination,
Yes.
and so you get to really experience the breadth of where your mind can go and what you can experience through gaming, and it allows for growth within yourself as well because when you allow yourself to really take place in the creative endeavor
Yes.
that is board gaming. You even just as a player, I feel that you are part of the creative process in that. You so when you are part of that creative process, you get to really tap into something in yourself that you didn't know was possible sometimes.
Yes.
And you get to experience that with other people and people that maybe you never thought that you would see or talk to or experience their culture and things like
Yes.
that. So and that's why I think it's so important for us to allow um, more and more types of designers into the industry because it just allows for a wider breadth of creativity and imagination to really blossom and grow.
Absolutely true. And there are more experiences, and all of these experiences from these diverse creators are human experiences.
Yes.
And I think the thing that we've forgotten, or the thing that we never knew, or the propaganda that we were sold, was that we were living what we thought was a human experience, but really what we were living was a very select way of being that was propagandized and pushed upon us and insidiously kind of fomented around us. Really, we're living a version of the 1%, idea of what life should be. And we have missed out on so much of our humanity by not experiencing and living more broadly with that breadth that you were talking about. And I've discovered that in engaging in tabletop gaming, like we talk a lot about tabletop gaming, like being a place that you go into and then explore and understand and try and all these different things. But one of the most curious and wondrous thing about tabletop gaming is once I engaged in that world was ironically a rules. I'm enjoying rules. like like and then the thing about rules is once I engage in that game and I recognize and I play by those rules, I start to look around, Matthew, and I'm going, hey, wait a minute. Those rules, there are other rules. They're around me. They're defining me. They're defining my language. They're defining my being, my phenomenological sense of self and the people around me. And I didn't realize that. But when you play games, you recognize there's rules at play, and then you live in society, you go, whoa, I'm starting to see the matrix here. I'm starting to, yeah. And that has allowed me, Matthew, to open up a lot more. Because again, I think that I am, but I know, but games show me that I really am not. And only by having the opportunity to experience gaming from the people from those communities instead of having this homogeneous, cisgender white male colonist kind of give me a game and say, this is what it is. Having that diverse creators really allows me to have a truer experience of that. Not the actual experience necessarily, but more of a flavor of that I've never gotten before.
Yeah, I like what you brought up about the rules and everything, and how we gravitate towards rules. We
Yes.
want some sort of structure
Yes.
in our lives and in our games. But that's also what makes house rules so beautiful. You again as a player get to be part of that creative process, but in doing so, you get to break the rules. You get to say what your rules are in the games, and uh, you get to play it your way, the way that you feel is right and is more
Yes.
fun for you, and brings out the most the best time for you and your group of friends or family or whoever you are playing with.
But as counselors, as both of you and I are,
Mhm.
tabletop games have taught us that we could just house rule something, right?
Yes.
Monopoly is probably the perfect example of this, right? This is a seriously problematic game, and its history is seriously problematic. But
Yes.
I can house rule it so it kind of works, or it works. But as counselors, that's really what we try to work with our clients to house rule their life, right?
Mhm.
Because
Yeah.
again, there's rules out there that somewhat you have to kind of pay attention to and adhere to, but also there are things that we can bend and break in order to be more fully who we are with others.
Yeah, I think that I have used board gaming in my sessions with clients, and it's gone over well. And I have used it as a way to show them that they don't have to play by the rules
Excellent.
that that people are prescribing to them, and that so many times I see people feel guilty or as though they're a burden, um, just by being themselves, just by the mere fact of them existing.
Sure.
And I do work with a lot of queer folks in my practice. So to show them that they can actually be their authentic selves, and that is not a burden to anyone, and that uh, if someone feels as such, then they don't need that person in their life.
Yes.
And pretty much staying true to yourself is so important. Sometimes something that I let my clients know is like sometimes you have to break your own heart in order to live authentically,
Wow.
and you and it's a hard process. It's really difficult to do something like that and to commit yourself to something like that. Um, But I mean, same is true with board gaming, right? Sometimes we have to lose, and see the beauty in what we've done anyway.
Yes.
Um, which is sort of what we were talking about with like Zaya of Legends of a Drift System, where it doesn't quite matter if you win or you lose or your ship gets blown up a million times, um, and you experience that kind of heartbreak. But just kind of seeing like what you've created, and what you've done and who you got to be,
Sure.
is rewarding in and of itself.
Absolutely. And again, so much of, as people, we tell a story about ourselves every day, and we carry that story with us, and it's this particular narrative we think is who we are. And it is in some ways because we play it out over and over again, but also that narrative can change. And I think that's one of those revolutionary things that counseling and tabletop gaming both allow us to do is we can play a different role. We don't have to play the role that was assigned to us. And that is so ground shaking for a lot of people.
Yeah, that's true freedom.
Yes.
And oftentimes we are scared of what freedom actually looks like and is. Because sometimes, we'll think that we're free,
Yes.
when really we've actually just caged ourselves into boxes.
Yes.
Um, and we don't have to actually be board games in boxes. We can take ourselves outside of it,
Yes.
and play. So it it's so sad to see the rigidness that we abide by, and pretend that that is freedom when in
Yes.
reality, it's not. It's when you actually get to play as yourself, and uh, engage with the world in a way that allows for your imagination to soar. Um, that is true freedom.
Yes. And having those in playing a game, having the opportunity to play as other roles allows us to fully feel human, right? Like to experience this sides of ourselves we didn't know were there. Now, sometimes some of that's just more on the academic side, where it's like, I'm a psychology major, but I love Euro games, so like, I know a lot about logistics that I never thought that I would be interested in. Like, I mean, I started in the hobby and was like, I want space games, I want high fantasy stuff. And now I'm like, hey, how dry is that Euro? I like a real dry. Like, how many cubes are in it? Let me just say, how many cubes? If it's not more than 50 cubes, I'm not playing. I'm just saying right now. Does it look like a spreadsheet? Because I'm down. But again, the initial collection of tabletop games was all this kind of flair and stuff like that. And then you get into something else. But then on the other side of it too, it's the characters and the roles that you can play, which I would never think of or reach into. And like, all right, well, we need this role or we need this type of character. And I'm like, I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to be like that. And then you play the role in the character, you're like, there is some in that character bleed situation. There are some parts of me that's that character. There's some parts of me that is that person. And maybe it doesn't represent the way I look, but it represents some aspect of how I feel and how I think. And like now, like they used to say, like, which is not true. Like use 10% of your brain. That's not true. But when you play tabletop games, now you're accessing parts of who you are that historically you have not accessed because you just never had the opportunity to do so. I have one of our colleagues, Dr. Will Nation, who is a counselor at Johns Hopkins University, and he works in the counseling center. He runs role playing games. He has a role playing group that he has opened up to Johns Hopkins University. And the first thought is like, oh, it's a bunch of guys that come to this thing. No, in fact, it's a large percentage of them who attend them, like 90 some odd percent of them are women of color, specifically of South Asian ethnicity, and have again the reason why they're really loving role playing games is because they get to play out roles that historically and culturally and religiously they're not allowed to really engage with, and that becomes an opportunity for them to explore different aspects of themselves, and again aspects that were always there but society has not allowed them to do so. I mean, games, right? They're an opening to so much out there.
Yeah.
and a vehicle for so many other things too, especially introverts like us who are now doing tabletop media. And I didn't think that was going to be a thing.
Yeah, definitely not. I did not think that this was going to be the path I would go on, but here I am.
Sure. And your particular experiences as far as the media and the, getting involved in the industry, uh, you talked about the introversion, like you get involved in the games and it kind of opens you up. And obviously the media side of it has been one of those, the next level for a lot of people. And we want to support a lot of people for doing more of that out there. Have you started to see that in the industry? Have you started to see that with publishers and designers? Have you started to see some of that shifting, that growth actually happening?
A little bit.
Sure.
I would say that I'll start with publishing and game designers. I think that we have seen a growth there a little bit, especially in indie publishing. And I think that is greatly owed to like things like Kickstarter and GameFound,
Yes.
where they, a person of color doesn't need to now uh, hope, or any sort of minority person doesn't need to hope that a publisher will take their game and publish it. They can go out and garner their own following, um, uh, which is cool. But that being said, the tariffs and everything have really demolished
Sure.
the indie gaming sphere, which hurts diverse voices overall in gaming.
Yes. Absolutely.
Uh, as well as even our big time hitters. It is coming for everybody, but it's really been harmful, and I've seen that because some of these people are my friends,
Yeah.
and I've seen that they are losing money and losing their businesses and all that. So,
Of course.
so there's that. For publishers, I don't see a whole lot of diversity in terms of who the CEOs are.
Sure.
Of the especially the big time publishers, and that's sad. I think how can you be someone who understands a person and where they're coming from if you don't share any sort of identity with them and you don't care to?
Yes.
And we're very used to a particular types of games.
Yeah.
So when we see something that's different and new and fresh, we're scared to publish that because it might not make us money. And that's ultimately what publishing is there for, a
Yes.
publishing company.
Yeah.
It can be very corporate, unfortunately. In terms of content creation, I've noticed some growth. There are some people who are minority folks who have come up in the scenes. Not as much as I'd like, and me as somebody who's trans, non-binary, I don't see a whole lot of others coming on up in the board game content creation. I don't know a whole lot that are doing like really really well, who've blown up.
Sure.
That's for sure. We still have our same core people, unfortunately, which they do great work, but I would like to see other kinds of great work
Yes.
as well.
So for the gamers out there, for the academics out there, for the practitioners out there, whatever area or field or industry they might happen to be in, what can we all do out there to support that diversity that inevitably in the end supports all of us out here who want to learn, want to grow, want to be inclusive, and want to benefit just generally from the humanity of it all?
I think that media is a huge part of it. I think that looking and discovering new people who are producing content, uh, those people who are not as popular, let's
Yes.
say, in content creation, are usually the ones who are talking about games that you probably have not heard of,
Yes.
by designers you have not heard of, who are oftentimes minority folks.
Yeah.
So I think, putting in a little bit more effort into whose How to Play do you watch, or whose review do you watch?
Yes.
And or whatever kind of board game media kind of like. I know for me, my channel, we don't just talk about reviews, we talk about social issues in board gaming.
Yes.
Now you don't have to be interested in that, and that's okay, but it might be interesting to look outside of just reviews and how to plays,
Yes.
and see like what are some other people doing and talking about in board gaming. um, and I think that is something that folks can do and that's a small step, right? Just to find people
Sure.
that you like, that make videos, and maybe they don't have thousands or hundreds of thousands of
Yeah.
subscribers, but they're still doing great work. So yeah.
So I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit, if you don't mind here.
Sure.
Media people, creators, designers, publishers, games.
Hmm.
Can you give us some examples of that, or things that people should look out for?
Yeah, I'm a big proponent of Fight in a Box Games. They're an indie publisher. They are currently struggling with the tariffs and everything, so I would
Yes.
definitely check them out. They make fantastic games. One of their newest ones is Conquest Princess: Fashion is Power.
Fantastic.
Um,
Yes.
yes, and
Love
it
that.
is a great cooperative space game of catastrophe management. So, and it's fantastic, and it has absolute queer vibes in it. The designer is queer himself, and he is of a minority race.
Yes.
So. Uh, that is one person that I would say, if you're going to check out anybody, check out that person. And his name is Seppi Yoon, from Fight in a Box Games.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of content creators, one that I have to shout out is Heather Rose, Board Gaming Mama.
Yes.
So she is fantastic. She does Twitch and TikTok. That is what she's mostly on. And she does awesome work. She's more so into the like puzzly escape room
Sure.
type of games. She started off with doing like Nancy Drew video gaming stuff. And grew some sort of following there. But I would say definitely check out Heather Rose, Board Gaming Mama.
Excellent.
She's just doing excellent work.
Fantastic. And again, you don't have to be part of these communities in order to enjoy the content. In fact, you will find that communities that you're not necessarily represented or a part of, you are a part of. And there is elements of that that are representative of you. Don't have to be afraid of that. Like, engage with that kind of content creator games and stuff like that. There's so much fun to be had. There's so many great people, and it enriches and lives all of us. And I am so thankful for this industry, the tabletop industry, obviously, because it allows us those kind of openings. And again, we want more of that. We want more diversity. We want more different games. We want more people at the table. Do it out of complete selfishness to have as many gamers at the table, because the number of times we've tried to get a game group together and we can't get enough game people together. We gotta get game people together. And like, you want to have those seats together. You want to have people there. And it's just, there's value on top of value throughout, Matthew. And again, thank you so much for shouting out those excellent people. So now, Matthew, I have something to shout out too, because
Yeah.
Board Game Academics is having a conference on October 4th and 5th. This is our third conference. We've done 2 academic journals. If you're not an academic, do not worry. That's not what we're about. We're about, tackling the ivory tower of higher education and turning it into a dice tower, so to speak, because we want to bring people who are historically not representative in that higher echelon of education, so to speak. And as somebody who's in that, it's not a fancy place. You really don't want to be there anyway. It's fine. But there's a lot of cool things that are happening and being said, and a wonderful diversity of people saying those things. So we have supported emerging scholars and practitioners. Now, if you know practitioners, counselors like Matthew here, and occupational therapists and nurses, and families at home that are raising their children and want to learn different ways to provide experiential education. So those kind of things out there. So a lot of people have written some amazing academic journals that is research that you'll be able to draw on for your professional background. So if Matthew wanted to bring more tabletop gaming to his clients or to different agencies, Matthew would be able to go take a look at our journal articles and go, hey, look, someone published a thing on this. Last year, someone published a wonderful academic, really serious scientific journal on working with tabletop games and autism populations.
Mm-hmm.
And again, you could bring that to your boss or your administration and go, hey, look, this works. Look, here's the actual research and data on it. And again, it's peer reviewed, all that kind of great stuff. And the people at these conferences that we have, wonderful networking opportunities, wonderful different people. As Matthew was saying, you got to get to know the wonderful diversity in which we live as a community, because I think that's beneficial throughout. On top of all that fun stuff, it's happening at the Strong National Museum of Play, which is the museum in the United States of America that has all of the fun tabletop game stuff, video game stuff, and also has the Hall of Fame. Matthew, if you haven't dived into this too deep, you should, because each year they nominate games to go into the Hall of Fame. Sometimes these games and toys are like Pandemic or the Rubik's Cube, the Slinky, and sometimes it's ball and stick. It's a lot of fun, and a lot of times we forget that play is so diverse and so engaging, and it starts very naturally, right? So play preceded culture, right? We grew out. Play kind of informs culture, right? We built rules and we built a thing like that. So, we're going to have a lot of fantastic presentation. The Gamma Association, the professional industry for tabletop gaming, will be there. Strong Museum will be there. A number of game programs. If you ever thought about creating, producing, publishing games, these people there are from all those academic institutions. So we're really excited about that. More information, details. But Matthew, you're taking a look at this list. Our keynote presenter, Eric Zimmerman, awesome, from the NYU Game Center. If you haven't read about him, you should. He's a fantastic designer, academic, but also does a lot of amazing stuff with a lot of amazing communities. But is there anything here, as far as presentations are concerned, that you might want to shout out to let people know they should check them out?
Yeah, there's a couple.
Please.
And one of them is The Affordance of Queerness in Virtual D&D by Mariah Kemp. That just sounds very cool to me. And especially as somebody who is queer. So I play Dungeons and Dragons. That's actually how I got into board gaming to begin with.
Excellent.
So yeah, I would love that. Especially, I don't know what they mean exactly by virtual D&D, but I would love to know, and how that ties into queer culture and representation. And the other one is gamification as an educational tool.
Yes.
By Christopher Rondeau. I hope I pronounced that right. And that I'm interested in just because I used to use games in the classroom because I used to teach an introductory course in a university.
Yeah.
And I used to use board games there to do that with underprivileged students, actually.
Sure.
So I that always grabs my attention whenever I see that. And then, of course, using it in a counseling aspect as well. So gamification as educational tools just sounds cool to me.
Yeah, and again, you'll see that there's a really wide range diversity of not just, topics, but also presenters here too. And we're here to elevate everyone's voice at the table. And I mean, there's a lot of fun stuff happening. Typically, when you talk about academic stuff, Matthew, people kind of go, it's going to be dusty and I don't want to go to a classroom. But if you have never been to an academic conference of this level, what we specifically do, these papers are in process. So when you come to the conference, you'll be sitting and hearing the presentation here. But your job as an attendee is to interact with the presenters to give them insight, information, and feedback so that when they write their final paper, which will be later, that's published, they have some more information and support. So there's a lot of great stuff. Like one of the things from Dimension 20 that lives in my head rent free is laws or threats, right? Like that whole
yes.
Oh, I watch Dimension 20 all the time, and I'm just like, yeah, laws or threats. Like I have that conversation. Someone's writing a paper on it, right? And I'm just like,
That's so cool.
I'm like, I love this. And I have so much to say about it, and I get to talk to someone about it. And they are amazing. And I'm like, I can't believe I'm gonna have these conversations. And as a counselor, like we have people who are writing stuff on counseling, and someone's writing a paper on Lacan. If you know anything about Lacan, like crazy kind of genius, and like I get to have those conversations. So coming to the conference is an opportunity to interact and engage and to educate and influence and inform the academic discourse that's happening. Your job is not there to hit a boring lecture and just clap at the end. Your job is to engage personally and professionally, but also to support these individuals who are coming out and really doing great work, and they need your support for their publishing and their networking opportunities. Because again, this revolutionary nature of tabletop gaming is only successful if we all join them at the table. It's not enough just to clap and wave and just kind of move on. We need you at the table with us. So if you haven't got a chance, check out boardgameacademics.com. There's a lot more information about all the presenters. By the time this comes up, there'll be more information about specifically what's on the schedule. So Matthew, again, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah,
Obviously,
thank you.
we'll have a lot of information about how to connect with you in the show notes. But again, do some shout outs for your stuff so people can connect.
Sure, absolutely. So you can find me on YouTube as Room 51, and you can also find me on all sorts of social media, so Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or X, whatever it's called. As
We
this
can
is
still, we
Room
can still
51.
call it Twitter because again,
We can still, yeah,
yeah.
we can we can do whatever we want.
He
right?
knows he knows what he did. Okay, that's all.
He knows what he did. Yes,
That's right.
But yeah, my handle on there is at this is Room 51.
Yes.
And yeah, and we have a Discord in case you want to join that. I'll send Chris the link to the invite for that.
Excellent. Well, again, Matthew, thank you for joining us. Again, you can also find Matthew's link in the show notes, so don't forget to take a look at there and join all of Matthew's things. And don't forget to register for the conference this year. It'd be fantastic. And you'll find, again, more details at boardgameacademics.com. So until next time, keep rolling and especially thinking critically. Take care, everybody.